Hello friends! Welcome back to the Fashion Guru. Last week we learned how to prep your fabric. So we learned about the warp and the weft and the selvage, all of those things that you need to know before you actually get to the cutting. Today we are going to learn how to cut it out. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing because we have a lot of other great content that is to come. So hit that bell and let's get started. So this is my fashion studio. My name is Faren. I can't be the fashion guru that lost her body. You understand that, right? We have some equipment that we need to get started with. Obviously, beautiful. These are fabric only scissors. These things are essential to cutting your fabric. These are paper scissors, okay? These are good for cutting out your paper pattern. Measuring tape, always right here. We need some chalk, soap, whatever you've got to mark your darts, whatever. And over here, I have some pins. I didn't really mention if you can pre-shrink your fabric. Wool and silk normally don't need to be pre-shrunk, but other fabrics like rayon, cotton, anything else that shrinks more than 1% needs to be pre-shrunk. After you put it through the wash and the laundry and the dryer, it does get a little crinkly. So make sure to iron your fabric before you get to cutting, because that'll save you a lot of headache. We're gonna be cutting this one today, okay? We talked about the nap in the last video. So this one has a sheen to it. So we're gonna make sure to cut all the pieces in the same direction. But before we lay out this fabric, come on. Before we get to the fabric, you need to look at your pattern that you've picked and the style. Okay, so we're gonna be doing view C, which means that we're going to be doing this one. In order for you to check the amount of yardage, you need to know the width of your fabric. Okay, so from there, it's very close to 60 inches, okay? It's just a little short of 60 inches. It does say 58 to 60 inches. So we're doing blouse C, size 12. So it says 1.5 meters. You could cut it or you could just leave it on the bolt. Yes. Okay, that was super fun. Woo! Okay, after you've done that, and your fabric is washed and everything like that, you take a look. The instructions are very helpful in finding a layout that corresponds to your fabric width. So listen, sizes on patterns are not the same as sizes today. Pattern sizes, you actually have to go from the body measurements that are suggested on the pattern. Okay, but we'll get more into reading a pattern later on in the tutorials. So as of right now, we are going to be picking size 12 with 60 inches of fabric with nap. There are two types of layouts. There's one with nap and there's one without nap. This one has a nap. There's a direction. So we need to cut all of our pieces going the same way. Here it is. This is the layout right here. And we set out our pieces according to this, which is super helpful. The way that you lay out your pieces is called a marker. This is the most efficient way of using your fabric where you don't have a lot of wastage. Highly suggest looking at your instructions for the layout. All right, so they did say that we have to fold our fabric in half. It looks pretty good. Let's take out our pattern pieces. Yeah. Okay, if your pieces are ridiculously crumpled, sometimes like mine, like this, like what is that? That's never gonna lie flat. What you can do is, here's a tip, take them to the dry iron, so no water in your iron, and what you can do is you can just iron your pattern pieces out and the creases disappear. Cool! So now that you have ironed your pieces and they look beautiful and crisp again, you need to lie out your pieces on your fabric according to the layout. This one does say center back, place on fold. So that's what we're doing right here. Look at that. We have a fold edge and we're just placing our pieces right now. All right, we're doing good. We're doing real good. Shoulder pad. This one we're going to cut two. So what we're going to have to do is take this piece, once we cut it out, we just shift it over. There's a lot of room in between pieces. Sometimes you need a little space around your pieces to cut. Getting to the pins. The center back is place on fold. So what I like to do is put some weights down and then pin the fold. So just pinning your fold all the way down. Because this basically is your grain line. In the last video, I think I had briefly gone through how to pin your piece diagonally through the corners and then moving from the grain line, which is basically the fold, and moving out from your piece. So you don't want to pin too close to the cut edge. I would have to say maybe a quarter from the cut edge. Next is this piece way over here. How are you going to do that? With this trusty thing, you measure from the grain line on your pattern piece to the edge of your fabric, which is the fold edge. So we have 15 inches. We have 15 inches there. I just happen to place it exactly on the grain line. Always pinning your grain line down first. That is the stable part, and then moving from your grain line out to the sides of your piece. We're done. Now we get to the fun part. We're going to be cutting out this piece to start with. They say that you have to move clockwise around your piece. Sometimes it's not always feasible, but it is a very good idea, and I will explain why. When you are moving clockwise around your piece, make sure that you're keeping your scissors on the table, and that's because you don't want to be moving your pieces too much. And when you have your scissors up, it takes a lot more energy, and it also could possibly move your piece. So moving around your piece clockwise actually gives you the ability to move your scraps away from you as you're moving around the piece. Let's cut this piece out. We're starting at the top, keeping it as close to the piece. We're cutting very close, if not on the line of the pattern. Okay, so here it is. You can move this piece. You don't always have the luxury of cutting it off the fabric. So you just move it aside and move around your piece. Okay, now that we have this piece free, we move it. No, don't worry about this piece. We're gonna check it before we cut, okay? Measure twice, cut once. Okay, now that your piece is cut out, this is the time to cut your notches. And marking your drill holes, just going in, not even 1/4 of an inch, like 1/8 of an inch in. Notches are a good way to indicate to the sewer which pieces go where and how to sew them. This one, because it is placed on the folds, you really just cut down the center. But the center back seam is 1/4 inch from the folded edge. So take your ruler, go like this, measure out 1/4 of an inch, and give a little snip there. That is really just a tip, an industry tip, because in domestic sewing, they don't have those notches. Okay, now we have to mark. We have to mark these little drill holes here. Circle for view B. This one is circle for C. You can put a pin in there, you can mark it. I like using soap because it just irons. When you iron it, it disappears. It's really that amazing. Once that is done, if there is no indication of the wrong side, what you can do is give an X to the wrong side. That will be a clear sign that you are on the wrong side. There you go. You just repeat the same technique for all the pieces, rechecking your grain line for each piece to make sure that they haven't moved while pinning or moving your fabric. So just check that before and then cut all your pieces out. All of our pieces are done, marked, and ready to be sewn. That's it for me today. If you like this content, please give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. If you didn't, no problem, thumbs down. And if you would like to see any tutorials, let me know down there in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. This is your fashion guru signing off. Bye. Why don't you just subscribe? Because that's what you just gotta do.